Hare Krishna. We'll read from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. Those of you who have some devices and can open, that's the 8th chapter, text 38. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devim sarasvatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 8. The prayers of Queen Kunti, text 38. Kevayam namarupabhyam Kevayam namarupabhyam Yadubhi saha pandava Yadubhi saha pandava Bhavato darshanam yarhi Bhavato darshanam yarhi Rishikanam iveshitu Rishikanam iveshitu Kevayam namarupabhyam Yadubhi saha pandava Bhavato darshanam yarhi Rishikanam iveshitu. Anyone wants to check? Ke, who are, Vayam, we, Namarupabhyam, without fame and ability, Yadubhi, with the Yadus, Saha, along with Pandava and the Pandavas, Bhavata, your Adarshanam, absence, Yarhi, as if, Krishikanam, of the senses, Iva, like, Ishitu, of the living being. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Sorry. Hare Krishna Jaya. As the name and fame of a particular body is finished with the disappearance of the living spirit, similarly, if you do not look upon us, all our fame and activities, along with the Pandavas and the Yadus, will end at once. Purport. Kunti Devi is quite aware that the existence of the Pandavas is due to Sri Krishna only. The Pandavas are undoubtedly well established in name and fame and are guided by the great King Yudhishthira, who is morality personified. And the Yadus are undoubtedly great allies, but without the guidance of Lord Krishna, all of them are non-entities. As much as the senses of the body are useless without the guidance of consciousness. No one should be proud of his prestige, power, and fame without being guided by the favor of the Supreme Lord. The living beings are always dependent, and the ultimate dependable object is the Lord Himself. We may therefore invent by our advancement of material knowledge all sorts of counteracting material resources, but without being guided by the Lord, all such inventions end in fiasco, however strong and stout the reactionary elements may be. Kevayam navarupa viham yarubhi saha pandava bhavato darshanam yahi krishikanam iveshitu. Shri Radha Gopinath ki. As the name and fame of a particular body is finished with the disappearance of the living spirit, similarly, if you do not look upon us, all our fame and activities, along with the Pandavas and Yadus, will end at once. Om Agyana Timirandasya Vyanandana Shalakaya Chakshurun Viditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sutedevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this verse is towards the end of Queen Kunti's prayers to Lord Krishna. As we know, this is at the moment when Krishna is leaving the Pandavas after the battle of Kurukshetra. And the Queen Kunti is addressing the Lord with great feeling and saying, "What we'll do without you?" In this verse, basically saying, Kevayam, who are we? Who are we without you? We'll be like useless names and forms, just like the senses are useless. They are lifeless without consciousness. When the soul is not present in the body, the senses are just dead. So she's making this point that Adarshanam, when you don't look upon us or when you're absent, we are lifeless. We're nothing. And Prabhupada explains that no one, however powerful, influential, great, even like the Pandavas and the Yadavas are given here. As example, they are so great and powerful, but without the guidance of Krishna, they are non-entities. Prabhupada is using this word, non-entities. Just as the senses of the body are useless without consciousness. Therefore, no one should be proud of prestige and power and fame, unless one is guided by the favor of the Lord. And Prabhupada makes this point that it's living entities are always dependent on Krishna. So the example of the Pandavas, and King Yudhishthira, who becomes the emperor of the whole world, is to show that even if you are at the top position in the world, you're still dependent on Krishna. Otherwise, you become useless. And that's what we see also in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, when Arjuna came back. He visited Dvaraka, and when he came back, and he was looking very morose, and Yudhishthira was asking many questions to find out why Arjuna is in such a state. And Arjuna couldn't actually say. He was just completely devastated because Krishna left. And we know that on the way back he was going along with Krishna's queens, and he was attacked. And then he couldn't fight. He took the same bow, the same arrows, same Arjuna, the most powerful warrior, and just he couldn't, fight with some ordinary, seemingly, of course, Acharyas explained that these were expansions of Krishna, those shepherds, but they took the queens, and Arjuna he became aware that it's only because of Krishna I could be so strong and could fight in the battle and be successful. So we are always to be dependent on Krishna, and Prabhupada says the ultimate dependable object is the Lord Himself. There is no other shelter besides Krishna. And the more we understand that, the more we are in a safe position while living in this world and while trying to become Krishna conscious. No matter how much we advance or in any sphere, like in a couple of verses before, Queen Kunti expresses in a very famous verse that those who are proud of their material qualifications, like Janma, like a high birth and education and beauty and riches, they are usually intoxicated, mada, by these things. One becomes naturally proud when you're very beautiful and rich, right, and famous. It's or very intelligent, educated. It's a very natural thing to be proud. You think, well, that's me. That's because of me. I'm so such and such things. So she says that those who are proud or mad because of these qualifications, they cannot address you feelingly. Abhidhana. Abhidhatu means addressing, Prabhupada says, with sincerity, with feeling. And this is the essence, actually, of approaching the Lord, to address Him with a feeling. And she uses these words, akinchana gocharam. And this became like a name for Krishna, that He is the one who is approached by the materially impoverished, Prabhupada says, or those who don't have any other shelter than Krishna. Kinchana means something, akinchana means without something, without anything. So gochara means approachable. So Krishna is approachable, but those who don't have anything in this world. Doesn't mean that necessarily externally you don't possess anything. That could be one of the meaning of the word. But also it means that you don't consider being the owner or having any other shelter than Krishna. So unless we have this feeling or cultivate this feeling of complete dependence, we cannot address Krishna feelingly. And Prabhupada explains in that purport to the verse, this is 26th verse, is Janmaishvara Shruta Shribhir Edamana Madakuman Nevar Hatya Vidhatum Vaitvam Akinchana Gocharam. My Lord, your Lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty cannot approach you with sincere feeling. So Prabhupada explains the result of advancement, possessing material assets, that one becomes artificially puffed up, intoxicated by temporary possessions. Consequently, such materially puffed up persons are incapable of uttering the holy name of the Lord by addressing him feelingly, O Govinda, O Krishna. It is said in the Shastras that by once uttering the holy name of the Lord, the sinner gets rid of a quantity of sins that he is unable to commit. Such is the power of uttering the holy name of the Lord. There is not the least exaggeration in this statement. Actually, the Lord's holy name has such a powerful potency. But there is a quality to such utterances also. It depends on the quality of feeling. A helpless man can feelingly utter the holy name of the Lord, whereas a man who utters the same holy name in great material satisfaction cannot be so sincere. So, yes, from this we see that a Kinchana Gochara means someone who is helpless in a material sense, that doesn't have any faith or any shelter in anything material, any situation, any material resources, whatever, completely dependent on Krishna. Then there is a quality of feeling. You address Krishna personally as the only shelter, only friend. And Srila Prabhupada explains in one lecture that this is the only thing which Krishna is interested actually. We can't give him anything. He's only interested in our feeling. So the question is, of course, how can we develop such a sincere feeling to call the names of Krishna with feeling? Any guesses? Suggestions? How can we develop this feeling? How can we call out in a very sincere way, as Prabhupada explains?
By devotional service.
By devotional service, like for example, in practical terms, what do you mean like devotional service? Any activities you can suggest?
One time, Srila Prabhupada was saying that we show the love for someone else when we take care about the details, the meaningless things. So when we take care, about devoting or serving somebody on detail, then we show actually the really feeling for such person.
Okay, so when you take care, you show your feelings. Okay. Anyone else? Yeah. Austerities.
In Dutch, I know to say jezelf dingen ontzeggen.
Which means?
I cannot
To deny yourself something.
Okay, yes. So, by actually renouncing material things or denying, you suggest that this will develop feeling for Krishna.
It's a little bit forced, but it's
okay.
It's a suggestion.
Yes.
I was thinking maybe practice, because we were talking with some friends and we realized that we're so used to chanting when we are in a time of need, so it becomes like a reflex, that you're in danger or something, you just start chanting. So maybe that could be, in addition to hearing about Krishna and relying on him,
Yeah.
it becomes a reflex.
Okay, so you say practice, developing this as a practice to naturally chant as a reflex.
Yeah.
And this is what devotees normally do, especially when they are in difficulty. Naturally, they call out for Krishna, and this is what we see also in Vrindavan, especially. Devotees, whenever there is danger, the Rajavasis immediately, oh Krishna, oh wow, oh great, strong, powerful Lord, please protect us. So that's very natural, and it's yes, very true that it's a question of practice that we develop this habit. So once we become used to chanting in all circumstances, then it becomes naturally. We approach Krishna always, when in danger or when in good times, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, either in happiness or in distress, I always take shelter of you, and I'm always grateful. Yes, someone else?
Getting to know the person. So when you get to know someone, you develop some sort of feelings and attachment. So if there's a random stranger, you're not really going to be like,
yes, so
have feelings for
how can you have feelings for someone whom you don't know? Therefore, we better know who Krishna is. So how that works? How do you find out who is Krishna?
Read.
You read, you hear. Therefore, Prabhupada says hearing is most important. Unless there is a hearing, we cannot chant also with a proper feeling or proper focus, attention, especially feeling. If we don't know, our mind will be somewhere else, because our attention goes to what we hear and the impressions from that hearing, from the sound vibration. Therefore, if we hear something else, then naturally our mind will be tuned to that vibration. And if it's not about Krishna, even when we chant, then our minds will not be there, or at least it will be mechanical. We will not have any feeling. So yes, hearing about Krishna, knowing who Krishna is, hearing about his qualities and activities, his most sweet and amazing qualities and activities, then we naturally become attracted to call him with feeling. Yes?
Offering prayers.
Very nice. Offering prayers, actually asking for this. It's a gift. And actually we can't come to that level of complete dependence and transcendental feelings for Krishna unless we are blessed. We are given that. It cannot be attained just by force. So yeah, to respond to what you said, it's an interesting. I remember one verse it's quoted, I think, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu from Hari Bhakti Sudodaya. It's also lists a number of things which are not helpful, or they are like not helpful, but they are, unless one has bhakti, they are, it starts like that, bhakti hinasya. Those who are devoid of bhakti, even if they have not great riches, etc., all these material things, but also great knowledge or great austerity, renunciation, it's like ornaments, valuable ornaments on a dead body. So they are actually valuable things, but unless you have bhakti, they could be useless. So the acharyas say that jnana and vairagya, knowledge and renunciation, they don't produce bhakti, but they are a natural result of bhakti. So we don't do or cultivate them with some separate intention, because they come from bhakti, like Bhagavatam explains. It's just naturally the result of the practice of devotional service, of serving Krishna. It doesn't mean that we don't care about knowledge and renunciation, in that sense that we try to give up things which are unfavorable, especially for developing of bhakti, which itself is a step, or it's a part of the process of bhakti, which Rupa Goswami explains in Upadeshamrita, that he says that we have to perform things which are favorable for devotional service. And it's actually the standard process of surrender, of taking shelter, Sharanagati. That's one of the items, actually the first items, to give up things which are not favorable. So, in that sense, as you say, renounce or develop this. What word you used? Specific word to. You say that I forgot. Deny. That's the point. Deny things which are not favorable. Not just deny everything. Specifically things which are not favorable. And we know that unless we are extremely advanced and we are transcendental to any circumstance, usually if we're surrounded by a lot of material comfort, we become influenced, we become intoxicated by this. That's the point of Kunti, of saying akinchana gochara. Those who have many things, whatever it is, they could be material gross things or subtle things or your fame or your position or intelligence, whatever, then you become intoxicated. So better you don't strive at least for these things. If they are given because of your karma, wherever you have it, then you try to offer them to Krishna and be very careful. You don't need to artificially give up or deny them. But at the same time, if we're too lax or just think, we can use everything, which is a fact, everything can be used for Krishna, but we can go into that direction of, being too much interested in comfort and sense gratification, basically, in the name of bhakti. So therefore, at that point you make, to deny things, it could be also very helpful in developing the proper feeling, because when you deny things which could distract you, then you can focus easily and then develop this feeling. So in one sense, this is also indirectly helpful in developing the proper feelings. But just by itself, denying things and being very austere will not create devotional feelings and will not create bhakti. Bhakti, it's neither taught or, got by some austerities or anything, or any mechanical way. It's caught. It's given. You have it by being close to those who have bhakti. You naturally develop that desire. So that's another way. You pray, you associate with devotees who do have such feelings, and you at least start to aspire to develop such feelings. But especially praying to Krishna to give that is very important. And this is actually expressed very nicely again in this verse, calling with feeling, abhidhana. Abhidhana is to call with feeling, and in Bengali that word is dake. When Srila Gorkishore Das Babaji was asked once, can he express what is Krishna consciousness in essence, and he just said one word, dake, which means calling, basically. And we repeat that usually when we chant before taking prasad. We chant this song in Bengali of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So, Sharida Vidya Jao. And at the end we say, Preme Daku Chaitanya Nitai. We're calling out in love the names of Chaitanya and Nitai. So calling, that's what he meant, that Gorkishore Das Babaji, the essence of bhakti is to call with the feeling. And Prabhupada sometimes translated the Hare Krishna mantra also like that. It's a calling to Krishna, please take me, please accept me, don't reject me. So whatever we do externally in terms of sadhana, of practice, it's to show Krishna that we are serious, so that he can be kind and bestow that mercy, give us this great feeling. And Prabhupada says in one lecture on Bhagavad Gita that once we develop this feeling, and if we are able to keep it until the moment of death, then our life is perfect. So this is also an important point, that we have to know how to develop a sincere feeling of Krishna, so that we can approach him when we chant. It's a personal association, basically, when we chant the holy name, or it should be like that. We address someone, because the Hare Krishna mantra is an evocative case, is an expression of personal address, unlike other mantras. For example, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Unto Vasudevaya offer my respect. Now, so it doesn't address personally Krishna. I say unto him, I offer my respects. But Hare Krishna mantra is invocative case and is a personal address. We are saying, "O Krishna, O Radhe, please accept me, please engage me in your service." So this personal address, usually you don't ask for someone, you don't call out without, having some personal relation, right? I mean, you can call someone just, I would say formally, just to get something. That's also there. But the point of pure bhakti is, like Rupa Goswami defines it, there is anyabhilashita shunyam, there is nothing else when we address. That's the highest, uttama bhakti. There is nothing. No jnana, karma, anything else, any other motives for addressing Krishna, but just to please him and to show him, I'd like to be your servant. And this is the whole goal, that we come to this a point of a complete dependence. And it takes an effort. It takes prayers and practice and sincerely making step by step sincere endeavors to come to that point, to be completely dependent, as Prabhupada says, understanding that Krishna is the highest, ultimate dependable object, and we are completely dependent no matter what our situation is in this world. Whether we have something, we don't have anything, but the whole point is to feel that we don't have anything, we are completely helpless and shelterless. We are just asking for Krishna to be kind and accept us. And that's what we see from the acharyas. They pray like that. In their songs and poems, that's their heartfelt expression to Krishna and Radha and Krishna and the devotees, that they approach them in this sincere way of asking for shelter, to be completely dependent. And the holy name, as Prabhupada explained in the purport to text 26, is so powerful and very accessible, actually. Anyone can chant, even the greatest sinner can chant, and just one sincere uttering is enough to clear all sins and all impediments. But yes, as Prabhupada said, there must be a quality for this chanting. So the holy name, the acharyas pray, especially Rupa Goswami in his Namashtakam says, he addresses Krishna and the holy name, saying this is the name and the named, the one who is named. So they are extremely merciful, but the name is more merciful than the named, because we can have the association of the name anytime, any place, in any condition we are. So it gives very easily, as Sanatana Goswami says, also in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, very easily bestows the greatest prema. And I will just read some verses from Brihad Bhagavatamrita in glorification of the holy name and chanting, especially chanting together. So he says, this is in the second part, from chapter 158 verse. Krishnasya nanavidha kirtaneshu tannama sankirtanam eva mukhyam tat prema sampajjanane swayam draks shaktam tata shreshtatamam matam tat. Of all the different times of Krishna Kirtan, foremost is the chanting of the holy names, Nama Sankirtana. It alone has the power to directly bestow the wealth of prema, and is so considered to be the best of all. Shreshta means the best, and Uttama means the best of the best, because it has the Shakti to give us the treasure of prema, Tat Prema Sampach. And then another one. This is from 115, Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So Jayati Jayati Namananda Rupam Murare Viramita Nija Dharma Dhyana Pujadi Yatnam Kadamapi Sakrat Attam Muktidam Praninam Yat Paramamamritamekam Jivanam Bhushanam Me. All glories to Krishna's joyful form and his own name, as his own name. So he says, Jayati Nama Ananda Rupam. So this is the form of the blissful name. So all glories to Krishna's joyful form as his holy name. By chanting it, I have forgotten to give care to my prescribed duties and even to my spiritual duties of meditation and deity worship. No matter how it is done, on touching a living being's lips, the name grants liberation. It is my supreme ambrosia. It is my life. It is my unique ornament. So it's Parama Amrita Ekam Jivanam Bhushanam Me. So it's the greatest treasure for me. It's the greatest ornament, and this is actually my life. So, yeah, we know this story. It's from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada, on purport, he gives it in many other places. In lectures, he gives that story of Sanatana Goswami, who was approached by someone who was very poor and heard that Sanatana Goswami had a Chintamani, which is a philosophical stone. You know what it means? Philosophical stone? No? That was also in the Indies, that's called Chintamani, but in the West also, people were trying to make this philosophical stone through alchemistry and all kinds of things. It produces gold, right? If you touch different metals, they turn into gold. So it has a transformational power. Also, Sanatana Goswami gives that example in Haribhakti Vilas, that even if one is impure, means not born with proper qualities and not being brought up in a certain way. In other words, unqualified person can become qualified by the process of initiation of Diksha, attaining divine knowledge and chanting the holy name. So it again gives the comparison of transformation. So yes, this is the philosophical stone. So this person heard that Sanatana Goswami has this philosophical stone. You know that story, no? So he approached him, and Sanatana Goswami said, "Yeah, you can take it. It's just there around the corner." So he went in a place where they threw out things. So he was like, "Oh, I'll get it." But then he thought, why Sanatana Goswami keeps that in the garbage place, the most valuable thing, which can give you gold and like that. So he asked Sanatana Goswami, why you keep it? Sanatana Goswami, why it's not important. And what is more important? What is more valuable? And then Sanatana Goswami said, the most valuable is the holy name. So he gave him the holy name. That's the most valuable, he says. It's the greatest ornament and supreme ambrosia in the life. And the last verse, also from Brihad Bhagavatam 2:1-21. Yes sarvaneira pyakshena radha dasya chava param sankirtayanti tannama tadrisha priyatamaya. It's spoken by Parikshit. As you know, Brihad Bhagavatamrita actually, it's a story. It's written by Sanatana Goswami in the way like Puranas were written. So it's like after Parikshit was cursed and he heard Bhagavatam and he had a little more time before he left his body. So his mother came and asked him, now you heard Bhagavatam, you know the essence. Can you just tell me quickly? Can you just tell me the essence of the essence, so that I attain also the highest goal? And then Parikshit Maharaj tells her a story, and that's the Bhagavatamrita, wonderful story. And at one point, yes, we know that one that's in two parts, and one of the parts is the first part is a discussion of who is the devotee or devotees who have achieved the greatest mercy of Krishna. So it was a question which Narada Muni had, and he started traveling around the universe and asking devotees, have you attained the greatest, are you the greatest object of the mercy of Krishna? And usually devotees answered, how? Yes, that's me. Right? No? What did they say?
There is somebody else.
No, it's not me. You can go to someone else and you see. And they were giving many arguments. So it's a very nice story. And ultimately, it was clear that the gopis were the highest devotees. So in that discussion, he was giving definition, Parikshit Maharaj, to his mother, and he said, these are the highest devotees who are completely disinterested in anything else. So sarva nirapekshana. Nirapeksha means really disinterested, completely in anything in this world. So sarva nirapekshana, completely disinterested from anything else than radha dashet chava param. The only thing they are interested, the only desire is to serve Radha. That's their supreme desire. And how do they do that? Sankirtayanti tannama tadrisha priyatamaya. They chant together your holy name. How? Priyatamaya, full of love. Or full of feelings of love. So I'll stop here. Any comments or reflections? Yes.
To continue on the thought that the Guru was bringing of austerities and denying yourself things.
Yeah.
This was very strongly documented in the book about the life of Mahendra, which I just finished reading, and it's almost scary actually, the amount of he imposed upon himself, like there is Chaturmasya, but then there's also these extra vows that one should take, like eating from the floor animal. So, like most of the God brothers even didn't appreciate this, that he was doing this, but he really figured from Shastra that this is going to help. So my question is, because I also don't understand, how is this helping, these austerities? Because you mentioned about not doing things which are not favorable, but eating from a plate, I mean, there's no point in that this is not favorable. So
okay. This is just one level, which is the basic requirement. If we want to advance, we really have to avoid things which are unfavorable, which actually kind of extinguish bhakti. Bhakti is compared to a fire. So if you pour water, and there are certain things which are like water, so that we have to avoid. But other things, they're not essential. So why some devotees do them? As you say, following Chaturmasa, and actually Prabhupada did say in Chaitanya Charitamrita that everybody should follow it. But actually in practice he didn't require devotees to do it, because for him the most important was that they engage practically in service and in preaching. So this is the main goal, and if we practice additional austerities and that is reduced, it's definitely wrong. For example, if we fast on Ekadashi and the result is we get so tired that we just sleep during the day, that there's no point. That's what actually happened when some Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disciples, they were fasting Nirjala, and then they were really tired, just sleeping, and they didn't go to, they cancel a preaching program. So he told them, no, just cook, eat, and go and preach. That's much more important. So this is the point which we have to keep in consideration. But if you can fast and feel more energy, because that's also possible, if you prepare and you know how to do it, then it actually gives a lot, both materially but especially spiritually. Because Bhaktivinoda Thakur says these are the days of Krishna, like Ekadashi and other festivals, so special months like Kartik, Purushottam, like that. They are Bhakti Janani, Madhavatiti Bhakti Janani. They give rise to Bhakti. And Bhakti is born. So, following these increases our Bhakti. But in the example you gave of Indra Prabhu, sometimes seemingly doing extreme austerities, is that necessary? I think the case here is a very nice illustration of that you show Krishna how serious you are. I think that's the difference I wanted to make. It's not you're confident that I will attain it just by doing these things. I will deny it, this and this and this and somehow. But if you do it completely consciously, like an offering to Krishna, my dear Lord, please, please be kind, be merciful, accept me, and that's why you do it. You offer it to Krishna. You show that I really want you. This is like a personal expression, and that's what we see, also the gopis, they did this Katyayani Vrata, which was difficult for, young girls, eat once a day of food which is unspiced, just simple, just some dal and rice in the evening. And he was doing that also, Katyayani Vrata, after Kartik, after finishing the Chaturmasya, breaking Chaturmasya and then starting Katyayani Vrata again for the sake of attracting Krishna's attention. And that's this uncompromised determination that Krishna, I really want you. I want to, please accept me as your servant. And Krishna reciprocates. But if we can approach it in the wrong way, I can give many examples. Some devotees, you fast, you do the different things, and for whatever reason, but then you get irritated by small things, you offend devotees, and then there is something wrong. But if you do it properly and with a proper mood, with intention to actually cry for Krishna, then it could be very powerful. It's a great boost. But we have to know where we are. We shouldn't imitate. And it's just sometimes, it's not possible for everyone to do, and it takes time also. But we start with the simple things. For example, also because you gave that. We don't need to do the extreme chaturmas, eat from the floor, but we can eat more simply, maybe follow what is there. The format's not very difficult. From one mark, abstain from milk, from other from green leaves, and like that. Urad dal, the last one. So not very difficult. That much we can do. Why not? And what he did also, he never took food which was in prasadam, which especially was not cooked by devotees who are following strictly. So this is very essential, and he was absolutely strict on that. Whenever they went sometimes somewhere for a program, he always went to check who cooked, whether the cook is chanting 16 rounds, what's the consciousness. No compromise. So that may seem extreme, but that again, it shows Krishna. I'm very serious. I'm very serious. Yeah. Anything else? Yes.
I was thinking that a few days ago somebody gave a class and said that the Bhagavatam is, since it's Krishna, we can have all the rasas, the Bhagavatam. And they mentioned that the proof of that was Sanatana Goswami saying the Bhagavatam is my best friend. And like you mentioned that Krishna is the holy name is Krishna, I was wondering if it's same. Can we have all these different rasas with the holy name? Like at some point will we be able to say, the holy name is my best friend?
Well, I mean, the way we think like that is like there is some difference between the holy name and Krishna, but there is no. So the answer is yes, of course, because Krishna and the holy name are the same. Once we realize it, then we don't see the difference. No matter what rasa we have with Krishna, that's it. That's how, when we chant the holy name, that's what we feel, that particular attraction in a particular rati or a special type of love in one of the main ways, so which produces a particular type of rasa or experience. And that in our own sampradaya is revealed through the holy name. The holy name gives that. It's like, because in other branches of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, which also starts from Mahaprabhu, and then there is a certain way that during the practice you're given by your spiritual master your spiritual identity and connected with a particular rasa. But in our line of Raghunath Das Goswami and Rupa Goswami, it's the holy name. We're initiated into the chanting. I mean, everybody chants, but in our line it is revealed. And they once actually asked Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji about Siddha Pranali. That's the process of giving a particular, to the sadhaka, the particular name, form, age, whatever, all the necessary requisite of the spiritual identity. And then he said, our mantra is Siddha mantra. It gives everything, Hare Krishna mantra. So it gives you your form, your everything, your rasa, basically. And therefore, yes, you have it with the holy name, because the holy name is Krishna. So we don't see the difference, okay, can I call the holy name my best friend? Yes, of course.
Can
Yes.
you know Krishna without having knowledge? Or it's a compulsory to have some knowledge about Krishna in order to develop this kind of feelings?
Depends what kind of knowledge, because if you mean just theoretical knowledge about who the Lord is, we see that in the case of the devotees from Vrindavan, the Brajavasis, they seemingly do not have knowledge that Krishna is God. Of course, they do have knowledge about Him, and they have feelings for Him, but that's the most important. And like Raghunath Das Goswami says, their knowledge of Aishvarya, of the opulences of the Lord, are washed. That knowledge is washed away by their particular prema. Their love is so strong that they are covered. They don't see this aspect of Krishna as the Supreme, so that it doesn't interfere with their intimate love and loving exchanges. So in that sense, yeah, we could say they don't have some type of knowledge, but actually they do have it. It's like, yeah, Charis explained, it just sometimes appears like if you boil milk and then you have some straw inside, and then when it's boiling, sometimes it comes on the top and it goes down like that. So sometimes they have, if in Bhagavatam, many examples in 10th canto, our devotees in Vrindavana, they address Krishna as the Supreme, so obviously they know that he is the Supreme, like in Gopi Gita, in the 10th canto. It's a very intimate address, but in one of the verses they say, you're not Nakalu Gopika, you're not the son of Mother Yashoda, you're Dantaryan, you're the super soul in everyone's heart. And so they are quite aware who he is actually. But then they say, please, put your hand on your head and I will, please come to us and let's dance. So you don't say that to God, but they forget that they were calling him God. And so this is the rasa. But there must be some knowledge, if you mean that, just some knowledge, because if you completely don't know who the Lord is, how can you? At least they have knowledge. Krishna is our most lovable object, and they know him as such. He is a cowherd boy, and he is such and such age, and this is knowledge also. So we have to have something, otherwise there wouldn't be feeling. How can you have feeling of someone of you completely? You don't know anything, right?
We have to have the basic knowledge. Prabhupada is giving the example. If you
can you speak on the mic so that others will hear?
Prabhupada is giving an example. If somebody, I don't know how this works. Press what? Prabhupada is giving the example that if somebody comes approach to you to sell gold, right? If you don't have the primary knowledge about what gold is, it can cheat you.
Yeah.
Right? So at least you should have, this preliminary knowledge about what gold is in order, you buy the real thing. Otherwise, you will be cheated.
Yeah, for sure. If we talk about our level,
that is what I'm
Definitely.
knowledge.
Yeah,
Basic
definitely.
knowledge.
We need, definitely. That's why before coming to 10th canto, we must study very well the first 9 cantos to understand who actually Krishna is. Otherwise, definitely we'll misunderstand. We have not just we'll have a twisted understanding and we'll be cheated. That's what will happen. So we need that preliminary knowledge, and it builds up. We have to know the opulences, which Krishna shows in Bhagavad Gita, explains the basic understanding, and then all the cantos, and then we build up that understanding and appreciation of Krishna as the supreme, as the most opulent and the greatest, and like that. So it starts with this appreciation and gratitude and desire to serve. Yes, we realize our identity. I am a servant of Krishna. He's the ultimate controller, he's the ultimate enjoyer. And it takes time to realize, because we are so much stuck in this identity of being the enjoyer, controller, and the doer. This is which we have cultivated since time immemorial. And even if we theoretically understand I am not the body, I'm a servant of Krishna, we still act as being the controller and enjoyer. And we make choices like that, but that's what we spoke. We make a conscious effort, and we pray for that, and then we cultivate this feeling of dependence and feeling of being a servant, whatever happened. And then that appreciation for Krishna as the Supreme Master increases more, and then if Krishna is very pleased and his associates are very pleased, then they give us understanding where we see him in a particular way now, with a particular rasa.
Yeah, but in another hand also there is this verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Tesham Satatam Tanam Bashvatam Prati Pupakram Tadami Bhi Yogam Yena Mam Upaniti. He says, even if you don't have no knowledge, right? But if you become my devotee and you serve me with love and devotion, I will give you the knowledge. Right? That
Yes. Yeah. Krishna says.
Because some people they can love God even without even so much knowledge, right?
Yeah, that's the whole point. You may not know the intricacies in the philosophy, but some knowledge is needed.
Yeah.
There is God. He is the greatest. I am a servant. That knowledge is enough. I want to serve sincerely. I want to please him. And Krishna says, those who do that, I give them the intelligence how they come to me. Dadami buddhi yogantam.
That is the preliminary knowledge.
Yes, and Prabhupada says in purport very nicely explains that one may be in a religious institution but may not have enough intellectual abilities or whatever, but if one sincerely tries to serve, Krishna will guide from within the heart what to do, how to come close to Krishna. And it's nothing to do with the external designations and tags we have.
That point you made, sincerity. Sincerity.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.